Welcome back to the Blueprints for Better Benefits series, and I'm your host, Rodney Matos Jr. And today we're stepping into one of the most stabilizing and transformational tools in modern benefit strategy, captives. Even the smartest self-funded plan can feel intimidating when employers imagine catastrophic claims or volatile renewals. Captives change that. They bring employers together into a shared community that stabilizes risk and delivers true sleep at night confidence. At Triforta, we partner with one of the most robust captive communities in the nation. Thousands of employers, more than 1 million lives, and a 96% retention rate. Captives mean no new lasers, rate caps, underwriting discipline, and long-term consistency. They smooth out volatility, protect budgets, and give employers the kind of stability they've never had in the fully insured world. Guiding us today is Triforta's founder and CEO, Rodney Matos Sr. His experience is deep, his insights are earned, and his passion for employer protection is exactly why this episode exists. This is Captives, the sleep at night risk control. Let's dive in.
All right, now that we've covered the essential building blocks of better benefits and cost containment, let's talk about the next level strategy that makes all the difference, captives. At Triforta, we know that even the best designed self-funded plan can leave some employers nervous about volatility and big claims. That's why we turn to Captive Solutions, a powerful tool that lets employers pool their risk with other like-minded organizations. Think of this segment as your roadmap to sleep at night risk control. We'll show you why captives are a proven, sustainable way to add stability to your healthcare strategy and how Triforta partners with the most reliable captive solutions in the industry. We're going to walk you through why Triforta partners with captives, how they work, and what makes them so effective. So let's dive in. So why does Triforta put so much emphasis on captives? It's simple. Captives are the ultimate risk-sharing solution. They bring employers together to share risk, stabilize renewals, and reduce volatility, all while giving them more control and transparency over their health plan's performance. We've seen firsthand how captives empower employers to take charge of their benefit strategy rather than letting insurance carriers dictate the terms. In this segment, we'll unpack the core reasons Triforta partners with captives and how this partnership helps our clients achieve better outcomes. And as we go through this, think about what a captive might look for your organization and how it could transform the way you manage healthcare risk. First, let's take a look at the highlights and some key numbers that underscore the scale and stability of our partnership with our captive solutions. Now, we won't go through every single figure here. There's a lot to absorb, but I want to emphasize a few critical points that illustrate the strength of this captive community. First, our captive solution partner has over 3,000 active employer members. So in the context of captive, a member refers to an employer organization, so that's more than 3,000 employers who are part of this collective. One of our proudest achievements is the 96% retention rate. This isn't due to any golden handcuffs. Employers are free to leave each year at renewal if they want to, but 96% choose to stay, reflecting the value and security they find in the program. This isn't just about cost savings. It's about sustainability, long-term partnerships that empower employers to control their healthcare spend. Another key figure in our history, our captives have never issued a stop-loss increase over 30%. This cap, combined with our no new laser provision, makes the model both viable and attractive to mid-size employers who might otherwise find self-funding too risky. In fact, many self-funded employers have transitioned to our member-owned captive for this reason alone. The scale of our community is over 1 million lives covered and $4 billion in healthcare spend under management. This offers real leverage and security. And that's what makes this partnership a powerful choice for employers looking for stability and control in their healthcare strategy. So at Triforta, we understand that one of the biggest concerns for employers considering self-funding is volatility. The unpredictable swings between good years and bad years that can strain even the healthiest budgets. That's why our mission is to act as a shock absorber for our members with the captive solution partner community. So here's how it works. On the left side of the slide, you see multiple employers, employer 1, employer 2, employer 3, and so on. each contributing their premiums into the collective pool. Think of it as a big bucket where everyone's contributions come together to form a shared fund. Throughout the year, the claims are paid out from this shared pool as they occur. Now, on the right side, you see two different cost trajectories. Traditional self-funding on the left side shows significant volatility. You might have a great year with low claims. Company A sees smooth sailing, but the very next year could bring a high claims event. Company B or C faces major spikes, and that impacts their budgets and financial planning. Now, even though self-funding is often more cost-effective in the long run, that unpredictable journey can be nerve-wracking. Triforta Captive Solution on the right side shows a different story. Thanks to our no new laser provision, which prevents carriers from singling out high-risk individuals for higher costs, and our cap on stop-loss increases, we effectively smooth out those peaks and valleys. Members in the captive enjoy a more balanced, controlled cost trajectory than traditional self-funding. Instead of sharp highs and lows, they get stability, the kind of predictability that makes budgeting easier and financial planning more reliable. This is the power of Triforta's captive solution. It's about transforming risk from a series of rolling dice to a strategic, manageable component of your business strategy. In short, Triforta's mission is to be your shock absorber, giving you confidence and control no matter what the claims year brings. In this slide, it's essentially part of our presentation where we discuss the financial structure of the captive arrangement. It's here that we help employers understand how their stop-loss premiums flow through the system, and importantly, how the captive is structured to provide long-term stability and security. So here's how it works. Every participating employer in the captive contributes their stop-loss premiums into a primary pool, represented here on the left side. This is the collective pot from which claims are paid throughout the year. Now, if these policies are profitable, meaning claims come in lower than expected, some of those funds flow back into the captive itself, as shown by the purple arrow. This is where the Triforta captive steps in as a financial steward, holding these profits in a shared risk pool that helps stabilize the entire community, renewals, and rates. Conversely, if policies are not profitable, say there's a particularly high claims year, some of those funds can be allocated to manage that risk. However, because of our scale and proactive risk management, we've never had to tap into the deep capital reserves set aside for this purpose. Now let's talk about those capital reserves for a moment. When an employer joins the captive, they contribute a 10% equity premium, essentially their buy-in into the captive's financial strength. This isn't an expense. It's actually an asset that sits on their balance sheet, and it's held in a separate capital account, one that belongs to the employer and not the captive. If the employer ever chooses to leave, the capital balance is returned to them. This capital reserve acts as a financial shock absorber, providing stability to the entire captive, especially during high claims years. It's like having a financial backstop in place that ensures we can weather any storm. Thanks to our strong risk management, we've never had to use it. This structure, stop-loss premiums flowing into the captive, paired with member-held capital reserves, ensures that even in unpredictable claims years, we maintain the financial health and stability of the captive. This is a key part of why Triforta's Captive Solutions is such a sustainable, reliable choice for employers who want control, transparency, and financial security. So let's continue and look at how we manage these funds year after year and how this structure ultimately protects your organization's health plan.
This segment is brought to you by the people and platforms that make this show possible. First, Triforta. If you're an employer who's tired of runaway renewals, bloated, fully insured plans, and the feeling that your benefit strategy is working against you instead of for you, then hear us clearly. You do not have to play that game anymore. help business owners fix broken health insurance. We bring cost containment strategies, self-funded captives, data intelligence, and real-world case studies that routinely save employers 6 and 7 figures without cutting benefits. If you want a benefits plan that actually rewards results, visit Triforta.com and download our blueprints for better benefits. And second, Aperionics. If you run an insurance agency and you're still drowning in manual quoting, data entry, or commission reconciliation, you're leaving more than time on the table. You're leaving money. Aperionics is the automation layer built by insurance people for insurance people. AI quoting for carriers that don't have APIs. Instant policy data extraction, commission statement automation, proposal generation in seconds, not hours. Aperionics reduces operating costs and gives teams their time back so they can work at the top of their license. Learn more at aperionics.com. That's APEIRONIX.com. Triforta and Aperionics, 2 companies, 1 united mission. Fix what's broken, elevate what's possible, and help real people thrive. Now let's get back to the show.
This slide is critical because it helps employers understand how Triforta's captive solution manages premium renewals, protecting members from sudden disruptive spikes in costs. Let's start with the graph. Over time, every employer will experience fluctuations in claims. On the left side, we see great claims experience. Those years when claims are minimal and employers are enjoying savings and predictability. Now, as we move to the right side, we see difficult claims experience. Those challenging years when high-cost claims or catastrophic events could otherwise drive rates through the roof. In a traditional stop-loss arrangement, employers can face renewal increases that are simply untenable. We're talking about 80 to 100% or even higher rate hikes after a tough year. And that kind of volatility can derail budgets and force employers to make difficult choices. But in Triforta's captives, we've designed a structure that caps a maximum rate increase any member can see at 30%. And that's the dashed orange line you see on the graph. No matter what happens in a single claims year, no member will ever see a rate increase beyond that cap. Incredibly important for those employers that are currently self-funded and considering a solution that eliminates that volatility they're currently experiencing. On top of that, there are no new lasers for members. That means no unexpected deductibles or separate liabilities that force employers to cover excessive costs out of pocket for a single high-cost claimant. It's a level playing field that protects all members. Now let's talk about the thin purple line that rises gradually from left to right. This represents an annual contribution that all captive members make, a little extra in their stop-loss premiums each year. That contribution funds the stability pool that protects everyone during those tough years. It's like an insurance policy on top of your insurance policy, an added layer of predictability and security. So to put this into perspective, think about the pie chart on the top left there. About 25% of the total cost is stop-loss premiums. So even if there's a 10% or 30% increase on that portion, it translates into a modest 2.5% or as much as maximum 7.5% overall impact, which is far more manageable than the volatility seen in the fully insured or traditional self-funded market. So this is the power of the captive. By sharing risk and contributing to a collective pool, members insulate themselves from the extremes. It's a collective safeguard that allows every employer to plan confidently, knowing that even in challenging claims years, they won't be blindsided by devastating rate hikes. That's what we mean when we talk about blueprints for better benefits. Real solutions that protect your business, your budget, and your people. So this slide really brings together the core of our mission, offering stability and value for employers, moving into a self-funded model without the volatility that often comes with it. First, we're eliminating those unpredictable premium spikes, keeping things spike-free by managing risk collaboratively with the captive. Then we have our no new lasers policy, which means members don't have to worry about unexpected high deductible liabilities for specific high cost claimants year over year. This provides a level of consistency and predictability that's hard to find outside the captive. And finally, we offer the 30% rate cap on renewals, which holds for as long as an employer is part of the captive. This guarantees that even in years with high claims, no one is seeing excessive rate hikes that could put their budget under pressure. Plus, there's the added benefit of member retained underwriting profits, meaning any financial gains go back to our members. Altogether, this is how we're delivering superior value and dependable stability for our members. So let's take a look at some numbers. When we conducted case study on groups of employers who transitioned from fully insured plans or self-funded plans to our captive self-funded environment, we found compelling results. By the end of their first year, these employers experienced an average savings of 7.5%, even accounting for mature run-out claims. Now, breaking down that 7.5% average savings, we see that 82% of these employers ended up saving money compared to what they would have spent had they renewed their fully insured plans. And of those who saved, the savings were substantial. On average, they saved over 10% by the end of the first year. But of course, this means there were about 18% who did not experience savings in their first year. So what does that look like for those employers? So that brings us to the next slide. For those 18% who didn't save in the first year, we wanted to understand why. And what we found was that on average, they experienced a slight increase in spending, about 3.7% more than they would have under a traditional renewal. Now, it's important to put this into perspective. In a fully insured setting, if you have a bad claims year, you're often hit with a substantial rate increase. It could be 25%, 30%, or even higher. That's a tough cycle to break out of. In our captive model, even if a company spends a bit more in the first year, they're not stuck with the hefty increase. Instead, they reset the following year with an opportunity to regain and save. So for those who didn't see savings in year one, they're still positioned to recover and benefit in subsequent years without the volatility or the shock of a huge rate increase. So we just reviewed how captives equal COM-Cs. You just saw how member-owned pooling flattens claim spikes with a 30% stop-loss cap, no laser guarantee, and equity reserves that belong to you. Then there's a scale advantage. 3,000 plus employers, 1 million plus lives, and $4 billion in managed spend give mid-market firms Fortune 50 leverage on every contract. Plus shock absorber math. Even a worst year 30% increase on the 25% stop loss slice equals 7.5% to the overall plan. Light years, better than fully insured sticker shock. Finally, community dividend. 96% retention and member retained underwriting profits means savings recycle back to those who earned them. Captives just don't insure risk. They convert volatility into predictable, budget-friendly guide path. Trade the renewal roulette for renewal rules and sleep knowing tomorrow's rate won't ambush your bottom line. Numbers are powerful, but nothing beats proof on the ground. And that's why in this next segment, we're going to show you some of our case studies. 1.5 million saved in mining, and we'll walk through a Nevada mine operator that left a fully insured treadmill, joined the captive, and banked 1.5 million in hard savings over 5 years, while boosting care quality for every employee and dependent on the plan. We'll open the ledger line by line so you can see exactly where the dollars moved and how your organization can replicate a win like this, plus a couple of other phenomenal case studies we're very proud of. So refill that mug, share your biggest volatility horror story in the chat, and join us as we turn strategy into mind savings. So next up, case studies with real-world examples. We hope to see you there.
Thank you for joining us for the episode 5 of the Blueprints for Better Benefits series. And today we revealed the true power of captives, turning unpredictable risk into steady sleep at night confidence. We explored risk pooling, volatility smoothing, no new lasers, rate caps, capital reserves, and underwriting profits that create long-term stability. We shared the scale and strength of our captive community, thousands of employers, millions of covered lives, and a 96% retention rate. At Triforta, our mission is clear. Safeguard businesses, your people, and your future with intelligent community-powered strategy. If today's episode sparked new questions, visit triforta.com for deeper insights and next steps guidance. We are Triforta, and we're here for you. See you in the next episode.